Hello, and welcome to a hopefully one-off video where I talk briefly about my current criticisms and possible solutions for the Japanese version of Projecto Sekai Colorful Stage, or as I'm going to refer it to now, from now actually, Proseka. So first of all, this isn't a ranked or ordered list, it's just 10 issues I have and possible solutions I'd like to present. This is technically exclusive to the JP version, however, many of these problems will carry on to EN in, let's say, starting 6 months, or immediately, actually, if I think of one example. So the differences between this and the EN versions are negligible, except for 1 or 2 points. I will try to make these points very quickly. This is mostly gacha based, however there are 2 or 3 points I will make that aren't directly related to gacha. The reason I tried to keep this very gacha focused is because I wanted to lower the scope, because I don't want this to be like an hour, 30 minutes deep dive. It's just me trying to order my thoughts and kind of present them to others. This is, of course, only my thoughts. I have tried to produce some supporting graphics, but this is meant to be more of a free-form discussion, so if you just want to put down your phone while you're listening to this, that's fine, you won't miss much. I can't produce convincing mock-ups for some of these scenarios, so you'll have to unfortunately use your imagination. However, I will try to provide on-screen explanations or a brief glossary for some terms I'm going to use. Yeah. And you have to also keep in mind that this is from my perspective. So a bit of an introduction. Hi. I have the unfortunate blessing of having 2 kami-oshi. For those who aren't aware of the term kami and oshi, I can kind of break it down to 2 parts. So the most central part, or the most central concept, is the concept of an oshimen or an oshi. So this is the kind of character that you would support, as in you like. For me, I would say that Shinonome Akito, or Akito Shinonome, whichever one you like, he is, for me, this kind of character. I would say he's my 4th favorite character in Proseka. I like him a lot, but I don't like him enough to buy him merchandise or specifically cheer for his events. However, for the 2 characters I'm going to talk about, they're considered my kami-oshi. So kami-oshi is my favorite, or one of my favorite characters. Now, I'm not going to talk about the entirety of the fan base, because obviously I can't speak for everyone, but I'm gonna hedge my bets and say that a majority of both the JP Western fanbase, things like that, I would hedge my bets that a majority have 1 or 2 or even more of these characters that fall into this category. For me, it's Tsukasa and Enna. I will say they are my joint favorite characters. I can't pick between the 2 of them, to be honest. I have bought merchandise for them. I have tiered extensively for both characters. I have sparked for them. I have bought the anniversary pick ticket for them. I always put them in the select list. Essentially, I love them enough to spend a non-negligible amount of money on them. And I would also like to add that money plays a huge factor in what I do and how I play Proseka. So for reference, I consider myself to be the dolphin category, which is a tier above things like, if you play a Hoyoverse game, right, like Honkai Star Rail or Genshin, I would say a tier below a dolphin is if you only buy the monthly pass. Or for Proseka, if you only buy the colorful pass, for the basic colorful pass, let's say. I not only buy that basic colorful pass, but I also buy and finish the premium battle pass, which costs in JP 2,000 yen every month. Obviously, I can't afford to be a whale, but please keep in mind that I am undoubtedly more fortunate than the average player, as I have that financial freedom to be able to spend a bit of money every month. With all that being said, I haven't seen many types of videos for these made for Proseka, and I like to kind of, throw out my hat into the ring, so to speak. So, with further ado, let's start the list. Okay, so the second point is this is going straight into Gacha. The fact that the Gacha cycle is just way too cruel for the crystal gains we have. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I think crystal gain in Prosecca is largely okay. If the Gacha in this game was completely different. So I think what F2Ps get, which is around 16,000 slash 18,000 a month, is okay. Like, the income is okay, I can accept that. It does come with a caveat, though, that you will have to get top 50,000 in every event. Now, I'm not sure about the EN cutoffs, but for JP, you will have to put in some elbow grease, but I do think it's doable. I have pretty much done this for every single event except for like once or twice where I've just forgotten to check the game and I miss out on the tier or the cutoff, but that's on me, okay? I've been, unfortunately, playing gacha games since 2015. I started with Love Live School Idol Festival. Since then, I've played many other rhythm game gachas like Prosecca, such as Bandori Dereste, rest in peace by the way. I've heard that they're kind of barreling towards EOS right now, and just a lot in general. I think that it's only fair, though, to compare Prosecca with other idol slash rhythm games, because other games where it is essential to have strong units, that's completely different. So I think it's fair to limit the comparison to these types of games. Look, I understand that the principle for having all these gachas, like all these 4 stars, is to allow space for the Vocaloids to come in, but has that really happened? I don't think so. I genuinely don't think so. And another problem is, frankly, the permanent cards. I don't really think this is strong enough to make an entire bullet point in itself, but the fact that with the permanent cards and limited cards combined, it's extremely difficult to get to an ultimate goal, which I think a reasonable goal would be to collect every single card for your favorites or your oshi. So to draw from 2 games, I will compare Love Live School Idol Festival, rest in peace by the way, and Dereste. So I think there was a good chance of collecting full albums for your favorites in Love Live School Idol Festival. The ironic thing is that when I was playing, the difficult part was getting SRs, or the equivalent of 3 stars, in that game. But the 4 stars, or the URs in that game, I was able to get a full album of both of my favorite girls 2 years before the end of service, and I didn't spend $1. And before I retired from Dereste, I could full album both my tantos, which is the equivalent of your faves, without spending money. I didn't spend a single dollar on Dereste, even including the tickets and stuff, right? So I was able to achieve that goal of getting every single card of both my favorite characters without spending money. But even as I spend money in Prosecca, I haven't pulled for permanent cards in earnest for at least 2.5 years, and I have no plans of doing this in the future either. There's just no time. There's just not enough crystals, and I just don't think it's possible for people like me. Even if you only have one favorite, it's really, really hard, and it's just not feasible unless you're royal. So my third point is that there are simply way too many limited cards and way too many limited banners. 1 limited banner a month with 3 4-star limiteds every single time is a lot. Not to mention, with Fes, we get even more limited cards, and it's just way too much. A situation with this is, interestingly enough, before, I think Word Snow Gacha was the very last to have the system. I think all the lineups, except for the Akuna Taizai collab, which is understandable given that it's a collab, the lineups were 2 4-star limiteds and 1 permanent 4-star. This schedule, in my opinion, is much more freeing because your favorite, or the character you really like, can either be the permanent card, which means you can try to get them later without many repercussions, or you can worry less about your favorite being the limited because there's, 1 less slot. Another interesting point, actually, is, well, this is kind of my solution. It's a very fringe solution, I believe, because it's kind of, my suggestion is making the banner go back to 2 limited 4 stars. However, I would like to propose either changing, I'd like to proposed changing the permanent 4-star, into an event 3-star or 2-star. And you might say, well, the problem is that limited cards are making them a lot of money. And, that's true. But the fact that Prosecca is doing extremely well in JP right now, and the fact that is, when banners still had that 2 limited, 1 permanent system, they still did very well. Like, if you think about Asiato or the Hermit event, like, that banner sold crazy good. And the reason is obviously not the 4-star permanent Kanade, is the fact that the limited 4-star Mizuki and Enna were amazing cards, and people still went for them. But the problem is, if you think about, if you're pulling that banner, if you get like the permanent 4-star again and again, I feel like this situation helps fix it, because not only does it remove that shall we say, more unwanted 4-star, but it also gives the event a bit more of a special feel than like, oh, it's just cheerful carnival, again, have fun with the bugginess. This also fixes a secondary problem, which currently in JP, off the top of my head, Kanade has a big problem where she doesn't have that many event 2-stars or 3-stars. Another free card slot would not only remove the problem of it, being terrible if you pull the rate up permanent again and again instead of the limiteds, but it would also give that character more character rank and therefore more free crystals. It's very quick. The fact that limited banners are very harsh. My solution is extremely simple. Simply put, they should just add the pity bar for permanent cards onto the limited banners, like the permanent bar that fills up as you continue to pull. Honestly, if you really asked me what I would want them to have like way less limited sets, as in like maybe once every 2 months, but then a good argument can be made saying that, oh, it kills hype, it kills the revenue, so that's fair. Like, I'm not going to suggest that solution, but I also want to kind of talk about how, some perm sets are on par, even better than some limited sets. But with this solution sort of discussion, I try to keep it like plausible. Point 4, the current spark system is really, really bad. And I'm gonna say this with the lens of a limited banner, because the permanent banner, what good they have is of course the pity bar, but I also am of the view that many people who don't spend a significant amount of money, or they want to hyperfixate on one event so they can do really well, we don't pull on permanent banners, basically. So I'm just going to not talk about that too much. But currently we have the Spark system at 300 flat pulls. However, if you have the Spark tickets, you can reduce it down to 200. I'm gonna go out on limb and put out this very simple solution. Permanently have banner Spark at 200. And if you have 10 tickets, you should just drop it down to 100. Okay, so first of all, this being retroactive is going to be unrealistic. We are not going to get a mass crystal rebate, so that's off the table, first of all, for my solution. I'm at a point, personally, where I have been forced to Spark so often that I am almost out of Spark tickets. I have like 23 now, so yeah, that's great. Spark for F2Ps is like 9 months without the 100 discounts. Like, if you want to collect 300 pulls as an F2P, you're looking at almost an entire year, which is terrible, if you ask me. And, of course, those pink tickets aren't just, magically floating from the sky. They have to come from somewhere. And I guess some people might say, oh, the Spark's over in 100 pulls, like, that's so fast. Like, there's no chance for me to get any pickup cards or any rate-up cards. For some people, I think, which is fair, 200 pulls already feels extremely fast. My solution is, well, simple. Just keep on pulling. A fast guarantee incentivizes people who just want one card from the entire set. Let's say, I don't know, the wolf gacha, right? The one with Minori Shiho and I believe Kohane. Okay, let's just say you want the Shiho, but then the other two is like, meh, it's okay. Like, I can live without them, but you only want the Shiho. However, you're sitting there with your crystals and thinking, well, is it really worth it? Like, do I really want to target a banner where I only want one card? Many times, me personally, I've only wanted one card. Wonderland's a Showtime World Link, but I had to spark for the one card I wanted, and I got all the other three before. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, so many times I wanted one card off a banner, but I can live with the others. Like, I can live without the others, right? And then, you know, it really, really sucks if you just want to get that one card, but you gotta go past all the others. So yeah, there's been many a banner I've skipped as well. I skipped Kanade Wedding because the other two, I knew I could live without them, if that makes sense. But if you said, oh, you can spark the card with 10 pink tickets and 100 pools, or you can just flat out spark with 200 pools, then I'd be like, yeah, sure, why not? And to be honest, if I'm going to speak from a spending money perspective, right? If, let's say, I'm 20 or 30 pulls away from that 100/200 spark, you know, I'd go, okay, sure, let's just finish it up, let's get it done with, and that's okay. So, I think they should just reduce it permanently to 200 pulls, 100 with the 10 pink seals. Okay, so point 5 and point 6 are kind of under the same umbrella, so I'm just going to talk about this quickly. This is the more event side of things. So, World Link. We've had 3 World Link events so far, and I have many thoughts about it, but TLDR, it sucks. Now, this problem is multi-layer, so I'm going to try to go over it. So, yeah. The very first one, which I think is definitely the most subjective, let's say that. The most subjective thing is that tiers and tiering is extremely, extremely difficult. Now, this is probably, like, I think 80% of this is a huge JP problem, because JP players are insane. But this is a JP problem only for now. I'm going to go on a limb and say Mizuki in Tsukasa on EN is going to be terrifying. For JP, I think it's Kanade and Tsukasa and a bit of Dewey as well. But what I mean is going to be very clear to EN players when the event comes back. Remember, I did say before, but Asiato or Hermit, right? I personally, I don't play EN, but I did see one of the tier videos on the Hermit event. So imagine that, but like 35 times worse. It's really, really bad. But yeah, that's the most subjective part, and I'm just gonna get that out of the way. Another point is that World Link events last way too long. I think they're like 2 weeks, a bit more maybe, and effectively they cut out one event from the schedule each month they're on. Not only does this take away a story from, let's say, a unit or a group of characters, but it gives out less event rewards overall, including 2-star and 3-star cards. There's a lot of reasons why this sucks, but one of the main reasons is, of course, less crystal gain for the month. And, you know, we need every crystal we can get. Another thing is that the event, how it's structured, is extremely pay to win. Of course, I don't have screenshots of it because there is no World Link event, and I kind of didn't know I was going to be making this video until like last week. But TLDR, there's like 10 bonus cards you can bring to every team, and then within those bonus cards you have you know, the 4-star bonus, the MR bonus. So then people who have a lot of MR5 cards for their characters, they just get way ahead and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, of course, I'm going to reiterate that tiering in events has always been optional, and a majority of people don't do that, which, you know, totally fine. That's true, but I do think it's worth pointing out that unless you spend a lot, I'm talking like 6-digit yen, a lot of money, there is no chance for you to get the special title that comes along specifically for the World Link events. I'm just going to include my Oshi's example here, but as you can see, these titles are actually kind of nice, right? It's kind of disappointing because for me, as a Tsukasa and Oshi, it's just been really, really funny. Like, it would have been really funny for me to have matching titles that's like top 100 star, top 100 struggle, you know? Especially Enna, because The title is struggle, and then it's emblematic of the struggle you would have to go through to get that 100 title. So I'm going to preface this by saying I know World Link is not going to change. I don't know if they're going to bring it back. My guess is yes, but in like 2 or 3 years. But if I really were to make changes, like if I could propose some changes, I would say to offer a memorial title. I'm pretty sure they have I'm pretty sure they have the system on EN right now, but for those who don't know, there's a memorial title given out to everyone sorry, after you complete an event. So then even if you don't tier the event, or if you don't touch the event much, or you don't get like a title, you at least have this title to say, hey, I was here. I think something like this would be nice, as in you get a memorial title and then you'd have like star or struggle underneath it. This doesn't discount the efforts of everyone tiering, because it's just a memorial title, but then you have like the little moniker at the end to just make it a bit more special. This is not going to provide any money or whatever, but I just think it would be nice. Link point, and it's about the World Link Gacha. So what it essentially is 4 rate-up cards with a 3%. All 4 of them are limited until further notice. Get screwed. I'm gonna say, I was gonna say the F word, but I don't think we need to swear just yet. So I'm gonna keep this as short and concise as possible. My proposed solution, simply put, is that every single World Link event, every player will be able to grind for a ticket that allows them to exchange for 1 4-star World Link card for free. Now, okay, calm down. I know this is radical. I know this is unrealistic, and Kodofudu Pareto will never do this. But I think it is at least valuable to kind of put out some proposed solutions, because if I didn't at least try to attempt to suggest fixes, I think this would just be like a very long rant video. So yeah. So, you know, what's the whole point of this? I would definitely think this is kind of what is needed to make World Link events feel special. Right now, at least, for JP, it's, you know, nothing more than a glorified 2-week slog hell that rewards you with a new sekai, like a new extension to the current sekai right now with no real functionality. As in, there's no sort of like character boost points or events or items. There's like a few pieces of extra dialogue, but it's not really worth the triumph of like a new sekai, right? And then the thing is, you can't really casually tier unless like your character is really unpopular, because for each World Link event, like they're hyper focused on one character, and you know, the people who really like that character will go extremely hard. So there's not really such thing as like light funny tiering. However, I will say that my Kami Oshis are in the 2 most popular subunits. So again, this might just be a me problem, but I will say Nigo and Wonderland's X Showtime are the most popular subunits for a reason, and I'm inclined to believe that many people will also have this problem. So yeah, it's exhausting, and it goes on for too long, and the gacha is like, it's terrible, basically. But you might also ask, well, won't this move make them lose a lot of money? And to this, I will argue that World Link in itself is extremely whale-oriented. Like, no other event type comes close to how heavily this event type is oriented towards whales. What I mean by this is that, let's say your friend has been like, oh, I want you to start Prosecco with me. And you're like, okay, let's go into the game and see how it is. Unlike any type of other event, you at least have a chance to kind of go in with your free cards, or maybe like one or two of like your unleveled 4 stars, right? And then you can just like slowly grow your account. But the problem is there is basically no chance for you to do that in World Link. It's so competitive, and then basically you just don't have a chance to make a decent dent into the event rewards, which the event rewards are very important for you to raise your 4-star cards and increase your power in the game, right? So having a free 4-star World Link of your choice is at least a start. It gives you a good incentive to keep on playing, and it'll give your account a decent boost, which I think is a good step in attracting and retaining new players to the game, which every game wants new players, and they want to keep those new players. So, yeah. And thirdly, I will say that I believe many paying players will still be incentivized to pull in the World Link box, because the special part of the World Link box is that only 4 stars of that specific unit will show up for people who... Now, I'm going to say these kinds of people are, obviously, they pay a lot of money, so I'm going to be speaking about those people, because, like it or not, those people make up the majority of Prosecco's income. So with this in mind, they still have this incentive, even though, let's say, let's just say they're a Nene fan, right? And they really want to tier top 1000 for Nene. So to maximize their chances of doing so, it is still in their best interest to get the entire World Link banner and then work from there, basically. So there is still an incentive for people to want to spend on the banner, even if the game is like, okay, you can grind, let's say, 60,000 event tokens to exchange for a 4-star World Link card you want. Also, this is kind of unrelated, but there is no way that this is a whole point in itself. World Link needs to rerun one day. The weak point of, oh my god, they're like in the unit boxes, they are totally fine. Like, you'll totally get them there. That's BS, okay? It just doesn't work. Okay, so the next 2 points are going to be related. So, point 8 is the fact that getting Fes cards after the very first banner is a total disaster. Kanamafu, or the Kanade and Mafu Fes banner, which was the very first Fes banner, was roughly held around 3 years ago. Since then in JP, there has never, ever been a single time where they have been sparkable or guaranteed again. One solution to this is very simply to follow Ian's example. I never ever thought I'd be able to say that in my life, but here we are. For people who can spend money, my very first extremely simple solution is to introduce one Fes pig ticket during the anniversary at 3,000 paid crystals. However, I understand that a lot of Prosecco's audience are teenagers or people who are still in school. In fact, even in JP, Prosecco has the reputation of being very popular with secondary school students. And also not to mention people who can't ask their parents to give them money for the funny, silly rhythm mobile gacha game. So to keep this in mind, I think they should do what Ian has done and rerun past Fes banners. Now, I'm saying this as the very first rotation of Fes banners is wrapping up. It's the Tsukasa, Saki, and Emu banners are running right now in JP, so there is still technically a chance for them to implement this. I don't want to pull the trigger too fast because they did introduce limited banner reruns very shortly, around when I think the very first limited banner, which was the Smile of Dreamer, was due to have a rerun, so there might still be a chance. However, the rotation of Fes is roughly taking 3 years, so by the time, let's say, the current Fes banner, and you really want Saki, but you weren't playing the game now, do you really want to wait 3 years for that to come back? You know, will you even still be playing Prosecco 3 years later? I'm not quite sure. So yeah. Simply put, Fes is unsparkable after the one and only rate up banner, and this is just, a huge missed opportunity. I think Fes cards are extremely important, if not the most important card to each individual character and their growth, and I just think it's a massive loss for it to be locked behind one sparkle banner that only runs once and will never again rerun for the time being on JP. Again, I don't know if they have reran Fes banners. I remember distinctly that they reran Haruka and Airi on EN, but I don't know if they've done them again since. But, I digress. I think, however, that both of these solutions, the paid ticket and the Fes banner rerun, should be put in. Not only should they sell a Fes pig ticket every anniversary, but they should just rerun Fes banners because, of course, not everyone can spend money or can afford to. 9 would be that dream pick during anniversary to let you spark your selected cards. That's basically it. as of the last anniversary, 3rd anniversary for JP, we were only able to spark the Fes cards on offer, which was Meiko and Kaito, as well as the 4 limited cards, which was Itsuka, Minori, Tsukasa, and Kanade. Yeah. As a personal anecdote, I did post my Fes pulling video, but for those who didn't watch or just want like a TLDR, I was able to choose 2 Fes cards that year, and I chose both Fes Haruka and Fes Toya. I was, thankfully very fortunate to receive Fes Haruka while I was sparking, but the problem is there was no guarantee I could get her, Hypothetically, I could raid the World Bank and dump all that money into Prosecca, and before I got arrested, still not have gotten her or Fes Toya. This pretty much heavily disincentivizes spending for these raid-up cards. If I wasn't sparking for an existing limited on the 3rd anniversary banner, in this case, anniversary Tsukasa, I wouldn't have kept on going for Fes Toya or Fes Haruka if I didn't get her, simply because I could never guarantee them at the end of the day. However, I would actually go a step further and make every single Fes card sparkable on every Fes banner. I have 2 examples for this. Last anniversary, I think 2 weeks ago, Bandori was having its 7th anniversary, and they had a general raid-up card. Sorry, they had a general Fes card raid-up, but every single Fes card, every single one of those was sparkable. For Dereste, every single Blanc Fes or Noir Fes, basically they're different types of Fes, right? But they're just they're the same thing, basically. 6% special cards for the character. That's the same principle, right? And both of these games routinely offer Fes pick tickets, so I don't see why this is a problem. Alright, point 10, the very last point. Now, I did say at the beginning that this was not a ranked list, and for the most part it hasn't, but I will say that I believe that point 10 is definitely the most important one. So if I could put it in one word, it would be this: balance. Prosecca's game balance right now is garbage, and unfortunately the developers don't seem to want to fix this at all. They have addressed it in a very long letter that was cross-posted to Twitter last week, and it's because of this letter that I have, decided to make this video addressing issues. Just to avoid accusations of me putting words into the developers' mouths, I'm going to read out 繰り返しとなりますが、このプロデューサーレターをきっかけに運営方針が変化したことはなく、今後もすべてのキャラクターを大切にしたい気持ちを持って運営をつけてまいります。So the rough translation for this is that our operating policies aren't going to change just because we put out this letter, and we will continue to operate with the love of our characters in mind. So I'm not going to leave you all in the dark. The link to this letter / the tweet linking to this letter will be posted in the description. If you want to right-click, translate it, you can do that. If you want to put all the words through a translation software, that's fine, but I'm not making any of this up. But let's just focus on that last sentence real quick. I do believe that Japanese fan outreach tends to be very small, very quiet. There's not going to be anything like QiqiFallen, they're very, very controlled. And I agree. This sentence talking about how our policy won't change, yada yada yada, this is pretty much corporate slop. And this has been going on for a hot minute, basically. I think since last year is when we can really see the balance of this game just go off a cliff. I'm going to list a few incidents. I'm not going to list all of them because we'd be here for another 3 hours. But, let's just begin. So, the very recent Minori Focus event was believed, the PV released, at least, made people believe so heavily that it was going to be a Haruka focus that people took time off work to tier specifically for Haruka. Given how cutthroat Japanese work society and work culture is, this is a very big deal, and I believe this specific event was called out in the developer letter. Toya, until literally last event, hasn't gotten focus in 12 months. The same can be said of Enna, but she is getting one very soon, as evidenced by the 3.5 light stream. However, Honami last year, she didn't get a single focus event. Speaking of Toya and An, actually, they haven't gotten a single limited in a year, in 12 months, if you don't count World Link. But if you do, they've only gotten one limited this year, which is World Link. Comparing that to poor Emu, who has gotten the following. Senryo, which is the most limited, most rare type of limited card you can possibly get in the game. She's gotten World Link. Then 2 weeks later, she has gotten Fes, which is currently running right now. The Fes banner is her very first 6% banner in 3.5 years of service. Compared that to her troop mate Tsukasa, who in the last 9 months has gotten the following in succession: Pandemonium, which was Summer Fes, Anniversary Fes, and now the current banner, which is 3.5 Fes. He has also gotten World Link too, just to preface, and this is just in 9 months. So in 9 months, Tsukasa has gotten 3 Fes compared to Emu, who has just gone her first, and Tsukasa has gone more Fes than this before, so that's fun. There is only one Vocaloid-centered event every year, and the focus is always Miku. Now, I will say what pushed me into the game specifically, as in like the very last barrier to me downloading it, is Tsukasa's Seiyu Hirose Daisuke, which I would say I'm a moderate fan of, but of course that was the last barrier. Every other barrier is the fact that I have been a Vocaloid fan for 10 years, and you know, that was the main reason I was like, ooh, Project Sekai is a game about Vocaloids, right? And that's special. Like, I was a very heavy Vocaloid fan growing up. I played so much Project Diva Arcade. I remember borrowing my friend's PS Vita every lunchtime to play her copy of Project Diva. You know, things like that. So Vocaloid, for many others, including me, is the entry point to Prosecca. It's just ridiculous how they're treated. Like, they're treated so poorly. Like, they're just not considered actual characters. They're worse than actual characters, and it's just a shame, because many times in this developer letter, they do kind of express the idea that they are very devoted to this legacy of Vocaloid and continuing to promote Vocaloid, but is it really... like, their actions don't match their words, and I think this is one of the most disappointing things. And I'm not even, like, a Vocaloid oshi, you know? So I just think it's a huge shame that Vocaloids are treated so badly in Prosecca. Well, this is a lot. I just realized 3 of these points are related to Enna. Anyway, do you guys remember? I think you and Ian have just experienced it, but remember when Enna got consecutive 4 stars? Remember when she got consecutive 4 stars last year, and the management had to put out, "Oh, I'm so sorry, but pull in the cards anyway," a message? That was funny. Anyway. Oh yes, this is the last Enna point. This video is of course mainly centered around Gacha, but for non-Gacha balance, here's a very quick example. The record of a character having gone without another vocal is 32 events, and that wonderful award belongs to Enna. 32 events without an alternate vocal in the shop. This, like, her record is like unmatched, and it's like, you know. So when it came to this point, again, I did try to offer solutions to the other points above, but I can't do that here. There is no simple solution to this. It is ultimately up to Korufuru Pareto, or the producers, to care. And to be frank, after, you know, playing gachas, you know, interacting with the companies, the answer is simple. Unless they lose a lot, I mean like 60 to 70% of their revenue, they're not gonna care. Unless they bleed players for whatever reason, they don't care. They're not gonna care. Their main goal is making money, and only if game operations affect how they earn money, only then will they change. Until then, expect nothing. It's gonna be like this. It's gonna be worse. It's gonna continue to get worse until we hit a breaking point. Now, I don't know when that's gonna happen, but hopefully it happens one day and we'll get back to normal. But for now, we're gonna have to live with it, and it sucks. I've been yapping for like 30 to 40 minutes, so I'm just gonna cut it off now. I've said my piece, basically. But I also want to know how other people feel. Obviously, keep it civil in the comments. I'm not quite sure this video is gonna leave my small audience, but if so, hi, welcome. I want to know if other people are feeling the same way, or are my views too radical, or are they like really, really boring? That's okay, just leave your... If you want, you can leave your 2 cents. I'll try to reply to everyone if possible. Of course, I don't think this needs to be said, but I'll say it anyway. I love Proseka. I love what it stands for. I love the fact that it's pretty much become a Vocaloid renaissance. I love the characters, I love the seiyuu, I love what goes into Proseka. It's just that because of this love, I feel compelled to make this, because I feel, at least, apathy is the opposite of love, so I don't have the apathy, which sucks. But yeah, I can't cover everything, so of course, sound off in the comments. I apologize for my amateur editing and video presentation. I haven't really taken any classes, so I'm learning as I go. And finally, it's just really disappointing to see how the game is, but I do hope, I do hope that it'll improve, and it'll be a product I'm willing to happily give my money to again. So yeah, if you're still here, I appreciate you sitting through all my talking, and take care, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Yay, 放工了